Hey all, this is Upasna Singh, and in this video, I'll be solving Leetcode daily problem. Today's problem is carpooling and the number is 1094. So we'll be seeing the problem, we'll be seeing the explanation, logic and the implementation. So make sure to watch this video till end. Let's get started with the video without wasting any further time. So coming on to this question, the question is carpooling and let's understand the question first. The question says there is a car with capacity empty seat. So suppose this is my car and here it is having capacity, that is there are some empty seats and that is what my capacity will be. The vehicle only drives east to west, that is it will only go in one direction, that is what they were meaning. Now you are given the integer capacity, we will be given one capacity, that is how many number of empty seats the car is having, and in array trips where trip of I will be having number of passengers from and to, that is suppose one trip is to take the 3 passengers from position 1 to the place 5, and this is what we will be given. And similarly we will be given so many similar trips, that is 2 passengers are there and we need to pick them from 5 position 2 and we need to drop them to 7 position. Okay, indicates that the trip has numPassengersi and the location to pick them up and drop them are from 2 respectively. Okay, the locations are given as a number of kilometers due east from the car's initial location. Okay, and you will be always given that they will it will be moving from east to west. Okay, then the things will be given like this only. Now what we need to return is return if it is possible to pick up and drop off all the passengers of the given trip, and false otherwise. If we are not able to drop all the passengers from all the trips, then we will return false. Else if we successfully drop all the passengers, then we will be returning true. So this is what the question is. So in order to understand the question, we'll be moving on to some examples and we'll see how we can solve this question. So let's move on to that. So here I am having few examples, and these examples says that input is given trips. There are two trips given, and one is this one and the second is this one. The car capacity is given 4, that is we have 4 seats. And now let's see this. So number of passengers for the first trip is 2 and the trip will go from 1 to 5. Okay, from 1 to 5 we will be having 2 passengers and our capacity is 4. Now we will be from 3 when we will reach, suppose this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4 and 5. When we will reach to this position, there will be one more trip that a car need to take. Right now my car was having 2 passengers and that wasn't a problem because my capacity was 4, and since I have filled 2 of the seats and still I was remaining 2 seats. Okay, I was having 2 seats empty, so I can easily take those persons. I can easily take 2 persons, right? But when I reached to 3, there was one more person standing, one more trip standing to me, and they were saying that we have 3 persons and you need to take them to 7. Okay, and there I was 2 and now 3 persons. 2 plus 3, how many passengers in total I am having? 5. Okay, I am having 5 passengers. But what was my capacity? I filled one of the passenger, second passenger, but still one passenger is remaining. One passenger from the ship is remaining and I won't be take this passenger. That means I won't be take all the passengers from this trip and I can't drop them. So here I won't be able to take this trip, and that is why I'll be returning false here only. So I hope you are getting it. Now let's see, let's increase the capacity. Now we have the same input and now we are increasing capacity. Since we are taking the people, so let's make the timeline as well. So suppose this is the timeline because we are starting from 1 and the last trip is ending at the 7. So I made the timeline of 7. Now from the timeline when we were having 2 passengers till the timeline 5. So till here we are having 2 passengers each. When I reach to from this trip, when I reach to this trip at 3, there were 3 more passengers. So from 3 to 7, I need to take 3 more passengers. In total, from this span here, in this span, I have 3 plus 2, total 5 passengers. So in total, I have having 5 passengers till 5. And after that, then again, I will be having 3 passengers. So, but since my capacity, now my capacity is 5, that is all the seats, all the 5 seats are what I was having. 2 were occupied by these 2 people and 3 were occupied by these 3 people. So I was able to take all the people to the end. I was able to carry all the people, and that is why my output will be true this time, because I was able to carry all the trips and I was able to take all the trips and to drop them off at the right position. So now I hope you are starting getting you are clear with the idea that what the question exactly asking is. Now we're moving on to the logic building part, and we'll be seeing how we can build our logic for the same. So let's move on to that. Moving on to the logic building part, let's assume there's only one trip. Okay, there's only one trip, and this trip is having 5 passengers and they are going from 1 to 7. But my capacity is 3 only. Will I be able to take this trip? So if at start only I'm not able to pick all the passengers from the first trip only, then I won't be able to take the trip. Okay, so here only I will return false. Here only I can return the false. So with one input, we are clear that if the number of passengers are greater than the capacity, then I'll return false, else I'll be returning true. So the one of the cases clear. Now for other cases, so let's take one example for the other cases. That is, we have 2 passengers in the one trip and we need to go from 1 to 5. In the second trip, we have 3 passengers and we need to go from 3 to 7. This is the last example we saw, and the capacity, let's take 5. Now, since we are carrying people from 1 to 5, 3 to 7, and there can be from 2 to 9 as well. So there is defining one timeline. So why not to take this timeline, right? And let's define this timeline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so I took this timeline and suppose this is from here to here. Now, at the timeline 2, how many passengers? At the timeline 1, how many passengers were there? 2 passengers. At the timeline 2, how many passengers are there? 2 passengers. 3. At 3, how many passengers are there? 2 from this trip and 3 from this trip. That is 2 plus 3 equals to 5. At 4, how many passengers? 5. At 5, how many passengers will be there? These will now drop. These will drop off. This is the destination for the first trip. So now here we'll be having 5 minus 2, 3 passengers again. Then at 6, 3 passengers. At 7, 3 passengers. So now we can check the timeline and we can check whether at any time we are increasing the capacity. Here it is 2, then 2, then 5, 5, 3, 3, 3. So at no place we are increasing the time capacity. That is why we can return true easily. So I got one idea that if I keep the track of the timeline, then I can get the answer, right? Then I can get the answer. So this timeline shows you something that you can take the array easily, because array has indexing from 0 to n. If you take the array of size n, right? So you can easily take one array. So now I'm taking one array and initializing it with 0. So I'm taking one array and suppose it is initialized to 0. I'm not writing right now that it is initialized to 0 because I need to change the values when I need will go on updation. So it is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we'll go till 7 only. And now suppose this is my array and let's import this one. Okay. So now we have this 2, 1, 5, and we have 3, 3, 7. So we have these two, and our capacity is 5. Now we need to what changes we were doing when we were at timeline 1, we were putting 2. Okay, that we were having 2 passengers, and as soon as we were at the place we were dropping at, we were decreasing by 2. That is, we were decreasing by 2, and similarly when we will reach here, we will decrease by 3, and so on. Okay, so what I got is at the start of the trip, I need to add passengers. At the end of the trip, I need to decrease the passengers. So this is the only thing I'll be doing right now, because I won't be doing all the things. I will be just doing this thing. So at trip 1, we have 2 passengers. Start is 1, end is 5. So at start, I'll be putting 2 passengers. Start is this one. So I'll be putting 2 passengers. At the end, I'll be decreasing 2 passengers. So this is 6. Okay. So it will become minus 2 and this will become 2. Okay, because at here the passengers will drop off. That is why I'm putting minus 2. Now I'll take the second trip, and the second trip starts from 3. So here I'll be putting 3 passengers, and since they are ending at 7, so I'll be putting minus 3. Now I have the data that when I'm at step 1, that I'm at position 1, then I'll be adding to person. And after reaching at 5, I'll be decreasing them. I'll be dropping them off. Then at 3, I'll be increasing 3 more passengers. And at 7, I'll be decreasing. Now I need to find the sum. That is, after from 3, there should be 5 passengers, right? There should be total 5 passengers. So in order to do that, I'll be taking the cumulative sum. So that I can keep track the total number of passengers at each time. Now I just have the number of passengers increasing and decreasing at each trip stored. Now I'll be finding the total number of passengers at each passage of time, at each point of time. So for that, I'll be finding the cumulative sum. So to find the cumulative sum, how we can do this? I'll be doing here everywhere if we are storing 0. Remember that, right? I told you at the beginning. So 0 plus 2 will be 2 only. Then moving here, 0 plus 2, 2. 3 plus 2, 5. And you can see that at 3, we were having 5 passengers and I added 2 plus 3 and it became 3. So we have to track that at from 3 will be having 5 passengers. Then we have 4. It is also 0. 4 plus 0 plus 5, 5. Then we have this 5. And here we are storing minus 2. See the magic. Minus 2 plus 3, it will be storing now 3. It will be having 3 now. And as soon as it is having 3, we got that at 5 or 2 passengers dropped off, and only these passengers are remaining here. So now we have the 3 passengers, then we'll move on. 0 plus 3, 3. 3 minus 3, 0. So at 7, we are again having 0 passengers because we dropped all the passengers from the trip. Now you can see that easily, if at any point our capacity is getting increased, if our sum is getting increased by the capacity, then we can know that the number of passengers are increasing than our capacity, and there only we can return false. So while in finding the cumulative sum only, we can check whether our sum is getting greater than capacity. If so, we can return false directly and no need to move further. Else, in the else part, what I can do is I can return true if I reach to the end. If I reach to the end, then I'll return true. So here we reach to the end. Okay. Now let's take one more example where we'll be doing all the things together and let's see whether we'll be able to reach to the end or not. So let's take one more example so that get a clear idea of what we all did till now. So let's move on to that. So again, coming here, I have cleared all the stuff because that was so messy right now. So let's take one more example. That is, we have 2 passengers. We have the trip from 1 to 5. Okay. And we have 3 passengers and we have trip from 3 to 7. But right now my capacity is 4. And you all know the answer because we have already covered this example. So first of all, I'm making my timeline. That is, I'll be taking this array. Okay. So I took this array and I will be making 7 cuts and hopefully I make only 7 cuts. But if not, then also that is not a problem. Okay. Yeah. Gladly we make 7 cuts only. So this is my array so that I can store the values at each time. So in the first step, what we were doing, we were storing for start of each trip, we are adding the passengers. For the end of each trip, we are subtracting the passengers. That is, we are storing the negative one. So let's start. For the first trip, we have 2 passengers and the start is 1. So at 1, we'll be storing 2. And this is initialized to 0. Please remember that. Because if you won't initialize it, then it will be storing garbage value if we are talking about C++. That is why that storing 0 is mandatory. Now, we are at 5 now. The 5 is at the end. So we'll be storing minus p, that is minus 2 at 5. Then we move to the second trip, and the second trip is having 3 passengers and it is having the start is 3. So at 3, we'll be storing 3 and at 7, we'll be storing minus 3. Now we did this part. Now we'll move on to the second part. That is to find the cumulative sum. And we will do one more step, that is if sum gets greater than capacity at any point of time, then return false. Okay, if this get passed out, then at last we'll be returning true. Okay, this is what we need to do. Let's do that. So we have 2, 1, 5, 3, 3, 7. Now we are done with all the trips. We are storing all the things. Now we'll do the second part. So let's take one. Let's start finding the cumulative sum. So this is 2, and this is 0. 2 plus 0 plus 2, 2. Okay. Then we will move on to here. We started from here. It is 2, 0 plus 2. Then 0 plus 2, 2. 3 plus 2, 5. And here you can see here the capacity. If I check if sum is greater than the capacity, yes, and I can return false. I can return false because right now number of passengers that I need to carry is 5, but my capacity of my car is 4. So I won't be taking this passenger that and won't be able to take this trip. And as soon as this happens, I will be returning false. Now if I increase the capacity to 5, is my sum greater than capacity? No. So I can easily move forward. 0 plus 5, 5. 5 minus 2, and here it will be 3 now. That is 3 passengers. At 5, we'll be having 3 passengers because from 1 to 5, there were this was one of the trip and this ended here. Now the second trip is from here to here. We will be having the second trip, and from here only the second trip persons will be there. So now we'll be having 3. 0 plus 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, and at 7 we will be dropping out the second trip as well. So this will be also ending. So I hope you got the answer, and we since we reached to the end, and if the capacity was 5, so we can return true at last. So you can you have seen that if the capacity is less, we were stopping in the between and we were returning false as their own. And if the capacity is right for carrying all the passengers, then we were going to the end and we were returning false. So I hope the things are all clear to you, and I hope you are getting a quite good idea that how the things are working. So now let's move on to the implementation part and let's see how we can implement the same. So I'm on the Leetcode, and this was a question which I was discussing till now, and this is the implementation in C++. If you want the same implementation in Java or Python, then I'll be giving you can let me know in the comment section below. For now, we'll be only seeing C++ because the implementation is just using for loops, and you can easily do that in Java and Python as well if you have a little understanding of your own language. So let's get started with the implementation part. Here they were given me this Boolean array, but this was Boolean. So here I was having this function, and what I did was I made one vector of current, and since you can see here, since my constraint was to the triplet, so I need to define what my timeline, right? I need to define my timeline, and I don't know whether the trips are sorted or not. So I don't know the endpoint. So I took the maximum capacity or the maximum length of the trip. So I took it 10101 because the largest was 1000. So I took that. Then I took the sum equals to 0, which we'll be seeing later. And then first of all, I did my first part, that is auto A trips. That is, I run the for each loop, and here I took current of A of 1. That is the first. The first is the start point, and the second is the second position is giving us the end point. So we added the number of passengers at the start of the trip, and we subtracted the number of passengers at the end of the trip. Okay, and similarly we did this for all the trips. That is for firstly for the one, then for the second trip, and so on. Depending on the number of trips we are having. After doing that, we have this for loop, and again to find a cumulative sum, and we are doing the same. So we were running for the timeline, and now since the constraint is very little, so I ran for 0 to 1000. Okay, and now I'm adding the current sum each time, and I'm checking if my sum somehow gets greater than the capacity, then I'll be returning false there. So I'll be directly returning false, and else if I reach to the end, as we saw, I'll be returning true there. So I hope it's quite clear to you. It is just implementing the things we have already discussed. If this for each loop seems to be little complex to you, then you can easily do this in your for loop and while loop, and as the loop you consider easy, you can do that in that only. So I hope all the things are clear to you, and if you are also getting fear of this vector, then you can change it to array as well. So I hope the C++ question is clear to you. Now let's submit. I already did this in the morning, so let's run this again for your satisfaction now. So you can see that my code got accepted, and I hope the things are quite clear to you. Now I will be sharing this code in the GitHub. I'll be sharing the GitHub link of this code, and I hope that will be helpful to you. So that was all for this video. And if you like this video, then do like, share. And if you like this video, then do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And if you have any queries and if you want to connect with me, then you can ask the queries in the comment section below, and you can connect with me on my LinkedIn. So thanks for watching. We'll meet in the next video tomorrow.